Tonight, we're going to be talking about the care of some of our most vulnerable populations. Recent data says 1 in 10 people over the age of 65 are suffering from dementia at different levels. Tonight, we're going to be talking with the owner of a care home here in Oregon City who is providing that critical care to very vulnerable populations. I'm happy to be joined tonight by Debbie DeRusha, the owner of Haven Corner and Prospector Terrace right here in Oregon City. Welcome, Debbie.
Thanks very much.
So tell us about your homes. Tell us about the care. What's the care that's involved in the home?
We have 2 adult care homes here in town, as you said. A maximum of 5 beds. We're licensed for a maximum of 5 beds each. They're right next door to each other, so it's like our own little community. The average age of our folks is 90, 91. So they've got lots of history, they've got lots of stories. We provide care for them, but it's their home. So they come and they live with us in a group environment. Everybody has their own bedroom, their own private bathroom, and the common areas are the kitchen and the living room and our backyard and our front porch. It's a home-like environment. So I liken it to you having guests over for Thanksgiving dinner, right? And everybody sits at the table and they have dinner and we have fun together and we have our ice cream when we get done, and people might go take naps and they come back later maybe to watch an old movie. They all go to bed at night and have their own precious things in their room, their own bed, their own pillow, their own blanket, the pictures on the wall.
So you created a home environment for them.
Yes.
Rather than an institutional type
No, it is
feel.
Absolutely their home. It's their home. And when they move in, I tell them and their family members, now this is your home. So would you knock on the door for your mom if you were going to visit your mom? And usually the answer is no, I would let myself in, and that's the way we operate at our home. If it's their mom's home, then they come in, they say, hi everybody, how are you? And they visit their mom the way they want to. They take their mom or dad out the way they want to. You know, it's intended to be as home-like as possible when they're not living at home.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges in dementia care?
Oh, there are lots. Folks generally come to us because they can no longer independently function at home, or perhaps they're living with a daughter or a son, and mom and dad are just exasperated with the repeat questions, the not understanding why my little girl isn't here today when my little girl is the daughter that's 55 years old taking care of her. There are the brain, just little pieces of the brain die, and depending on the pieces of the brain that die are the issues that each individual has. So it's never the same. It's never the same for everybody.
Dementia, there's all sorts of, everybody has their own personality.
Yes.
And what they still retain and what they've lost.
There are many, many, many reasons for people to have dementia. That is an umbrella term. Most people interchange dementia with Alzheimer's because it's the most known type of dementia. And Mr. Alzheimer is the guy that discovered that particular type of disease. But you could have dementia from, I can't think of the name of it right off the top, but it's from lack of your heart beating and getting blood to your head. And so you've got air bubbles in your head for short periods of time. There's dementia.
And that would destroy brain cells, right? With air pockets in your brain.
So depending on which blood vessel didn't work at the time are the brain cells that are wrecked.
Stroke patients, maybe?
Yeah, Lewy bodies dementia is another type of dementia where people have hallucinations. People who have had alcohol abuse problems lots of times end up with dementia. And there's just many, many, many more reasons. And There are certain types of dementia that have really bad reputations. And I've actually taken several individuals who've had dementia of a bad reputation and been very successful. And I think really the biggest part of it is the electric connection that I make or that my caregivers make with that person. They feel loved, they feel understood, they don't feel rushed. It's a friendship that you build with a person over time, and you develop that trust. I have a gal that I talk to every day. We talk every day about she and I playing in her backyard when we were little kids. She's 86 years old, but I talk to her every day like I was her friend playing in her little backyard, and that's my connection with her. And when she's having trouble, that's how I bring her out of the trouble, is I remind her of that connection that we have. And then we start talking about, instead of talking about where my kids are and where my mom and dad are, we talk about the times we played in the backyard and the guy at the local store used to give us little candy bars. And we weren't supposed to tell anybody.
So where did you learn how to interact and be supportive of dementia patients?
You know, I never had any formal training. I hate to say about dementia specifically. Everybody is made for something. You know, I couldn't ever be a school teacher. And this is just, I don't have children, but I had grandparents and I had parents, and I just have an infinity. I just have a love for folks and their stories, and respect them, and they know that. And I don't treat them like they have a disability, and it's just in me. I don't have a really good reason. I do a lot of training with my caregivers. We've been doing this since 2002. I've cared for over 120 folks since that time. So we've had lots of varied experiences with things. And I'm picky about my caregivers. And they're mature, they're experienced, and they have to take constructive criticism well. And I guide them, and they'll often call me, Debbie, so-and-so is holding her head, and she just doesn't look good today. And I'll give them a suggestion, and they'll try it. I'll check back 30 minutes later, and it worked, and they thank me. And, you know, so I share the wealth, so to say, with other folks. And I've had employees stay with me sometimes for 5 years. So I try to treat them with respect as well, and let them experience the joy that these people can give us.
So you say you started this business in 2002. Mm-hmm. Why did you get into it?
Well, I was a banker for 25 years before that.
All right, that's a big change, being a banker and running a care home.
Yeah.
And tell us that story.
Yeah. Well, my husband has always been self-employed. Yeah. And he thought it would be best if I could just get out of that politically correct world and that meeting here, and come home totally drained. I didn't want to talk on the phone. I didn't want to talk to anybody. So let's try something self-employed. And the long and the short of it is we had some land that we owned, and my husband is a builder. And one of his designer ladies was designing an adult care home for somebody and said, hey, why don't you guys look into this? You have the land, you have someone who can build. Does Debbie even want to do it? And I'd had some reading experience with elderly that I really enjoyed. So I looked into it. We did some investigating. We interviewed a bunch of people. I worked for what's called a level 3 home, which is mostly bedridden people or people that need help with almost everything. And I volunteered there for a year. I got my CNA license. I got a gerontology certificate at the college. And through all of that, I came home bubbly. I enjoyed, you know, it was clear to my husband that this was okay. Yeah. So he built the house, and we moved from our house to that house and crossed our fingers. And you know what? We were full, 5 bedrooms. We were full in 2 months. And we were full with people wanting to, a waiting list. And and that was 2002. In 2010, we had to open a second home because we had so many people on the waiting list, and we were saying no to so many people. So, and here we are.
So demand is high.
Yes, it is.
Do you have any idea about how many people who need that type of care aren't getting it because we don't have the infrastructure, the facilities for it?
I don't really have a good idea for the number of people, although of course I know they're out there. I have folks on my waiting list who are waiting for me to have a vacancy whose mom and dad are at home, and they just visit every day, and they'll call me and say, I'm really getting tired. Is there anything coming up? And then a lot of people, I know in my own situation, my mother lives on the East Coast. I don't get to visit that often, so I don't really see day to day what her issues are. There's a lot of people out there that have issues that need help that are still in a situation where probably it isn't the safest for them, but I don't have a good flavor for how many people there are.
What's the toughest part of running this business?
I'll say employees can be difficult at times, as we all know. Being able to hire the right person is probably what I mean by that. Families can be difficult sometimes because they want an answer for everything. They want to have something to blame a particular instance on, and there isn't one. So many times we send people to ER for fainting or for excessive behavior or whatever, thinking there might be a urinary tract infection, and there is nothing wrong. It just is the disease. And
I mean, you're working with a family unit that's probably emotionally
absolutely
torn. First, like
absolutely.
having to put their loved one in there,
absolutely.
feeling maybe less than because I should be taking care of my pets.
Absolutely. So. You know, and the parents are good at making the kids feel guilty for not taking them into their own home. But today, everybody works. You know, there's not one person home all the time to take care of a mom and a dad. And so it is hard.
All right. Last question. What's the greatest joy about this business?
I love my residents. I love them. I wouldn't have all the stories, all the history, all the love, all the thanks, all the good feelings that come with giving people the best possible life they can have until they don't have it anymore. And that's the whole reason I got into this.
That's great. So if people want to learn more about Haven Corner, how can they find you?
Well, hopefully they'd learn about me from somebody who already has had experience with me, which is the way most people find me. But I do have a website, www.havencorner.com. I also have a Facebook page. So as is with most websites, the website is static, but my Facebook page, I post pictures all the time of things that my residents are doing, puzzles or church, or just the other day we went for a ride in the country and tried to get lost, and I took a picture of that. So families...
You tried to get lost.
Yeah, I have never yet gotten lost, but we try.
In that case,
we get an ice cream and then we go get lost.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So that's an opportunity for families to look and see what it is that we're doing, and for people who are looking to see what I'm like, what our facility is like, to see what we do with our folks.
Yep. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, and thank you for the work that you do, you know, for an extremely vulnerable population and the care and comfort you bring not only them, but also their family as well.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
You bet.
Thanks.
All right, well, I want to thank Debbie DeRusha once again from Haven Corner for joining us. I am Michael Brand. Let's get to work.